Imagine a tractor so revolutionary, it literally changed how the entire world farmed. A tractor so tough, Sir Edmund Hillary drove 7 of them across Antarctica to the South Pole. A tractor that fed nations, built empires, and turned a small Irish inventor into a legend. From muddy English fields to American prairies, Massey Ferguson built machines that didn't just work the land. They defined entire generations of farming. Today we count down 10 classic Massey Fergusons that made history. Number 10. The Massey-Harris Pacemaker. We're starting our countdown with a tractor that bridged 2 eras, the Massey-Harris Pacemaker. Now, before Massey Ferguson became Massey Ferguson, the company was Massey-Harris, a Canadian giant that had been building farm equipment since the 1800s. The pacemaker, introduced in 1936, was one of their most important pre-war tractors. The pacemaker was based on the Wallace U-frame design, which was revolutionary for its time. Instead of a traditional frame, the Wallace design used a curved boilerplate that combined the crankcase, transmission case, and frame into a single one-piece unit. It was incredibly strong and remarkably modern. The pacemaker came with a 4-cylinder gasoline engine, displacing 248 cubic inches, originally rated at about 25 horsepower. But here's where it got interesting. Massey-Harris offered a twin-power version that allowed the operator to bump up the governor setting from 1,200 RPM to 1,400 RPM, increasing power by about 10 horsepower. However, this twin-power feature could only be used for belt work, not field work, because they had to lock the transmission in neutral to prevent the extra power from destroying the drivetrain. The pacemaker came in standard tread, row crop, orchard, and industrial versions. Today, a well-restored pacemaker is highly sought after by Massey-Harris collectors, especially the rarer twin-power versions. This tractor laid the groundwork for everything Massey-Harris would build over the next 2 decades. Number 9. The Massey-Harris Pony. Coming in at number 9 is one of the cutest, smallest tractors Massey-Harris ever built, the Massey-Harris Pony. Introduced in 1947, the Pony was the smallest tractor in the entire Massey-Harris line. Designed specifically for vegetable farms, gardens, and small acreage operations. Worldwide, Massey-Harris built more pony tractors than any other model in their lineup. A total of 28,746 ponies were produced before production ended in 1957 at the Woodstock, Ontario plant. The Pony was powered by a tiny Continental N62 4-cylinder gasoline engine, displacing about 1.0 liter, producing roughly 10 horsepower at the drawbar. But here's what makes the Pony historically significant. It was Massey-Harris's answer to the wildly popular International Harvester Farm All-Cub. Small farms across America and Canada needed an affordable lightweight tractor that could replace horses without breaking the bank. And the Pony filled that role perfectly. The Pony was also part of what collectors call the 4 horses of Massey-Harris: the Pony, the Pacer, the Colt, and the Mustang. After the 1953 merger between Massey-Harris and Ferguson, some ponies were even painted Ferguson gray and given Pacer-style front ends to fill a gap in the Ferguson lineup. There were also French-built pony tractors produced from 1951 to 1961 that used Simca, Peugeot, or Hanomag diesel engines. Today, restored ponies are popular among small-scale collectors and homestead enthusiasts. Number 8. The Massey-Harris 44. Number 8 is one of the most successful tractors Massey-Harris ever built, the Model 44. Between 1946 and 1953, Massey-Harris produced approximately 84,000 of these tractors in a wide variety of configurations. The Model 44 was offered with gasoline, distillate, diesel, or LPG engines. You could get it in standard tread or row crop configurations, plus orchard and vineyard versions. The tractor used a 4-cylinder Continental engine displacing 260 cubic inches, with the gasoline version producing 45 horsepower and the diesel version producing approximately 40 horsepower. The diesel option was added in 1948, 2 years after the original launch. Here's a fascinating piece of history. The Massey-Harris 44 was the first Massey-Harris tractor to feature PTO, which was operated by a hand clutch. That was a big deal because it meant the operator could disengage the tractor from the implement without stopping the PTO shaft. There's also a quirky story about the Model 44 Vineyard version. It was much narrower than the standard tread, but the narrowed rear axle caused significant mechanical problems. So Massey-Harris recalled and scrapped almost every 44 Vineyard ever sold, with only one known exception. That makes the surviving 44 Vineyard one of the rarest Massey-Harris tractors in existence. The Model 44 was the workhorse of post-war Massey-Harris farming, and it's a beloved classic among collectors today. Number 7. The Ferguson TE20, Little Grey Fergie. Now we get to the legend. Number 7 is arguably the single most important tractor in agricultural history. The Ferguson TE20, affectionately known worldwide as the Little Grey Fergie. On July 6, 1946, the very first Ferguson TE20 rolled off the assembly line at the Banner Lane plant in Coventry, England. The tractor was the brainchild of engineer and inventor Harry Ferguson, who designed what became one of the most successful agricultural machines ever made. Production ran for exactly 10 years, ending on July 13, 1956. In that time, an incredible 517,651 TE20s were built at Banner Lane. Here's why this tractor changed the world. The TE20 popularized Harry Ferguson's invention of the hydraulic three-point hitch system. This Ferguson system turned the tractor and implement into a single working unit, replacing the previous cumbersome trailed method of implement attachment. The three-point hitch became an international standard for tractors of all makes and sizes, and it remains the standard to this day. Rated at only 20 horsepower, the TE20 was incredibly light and small, yet it outperformed much bigger tractors at much lower running costs. In many parts of the world, it was the first tractor that the average farmer could actually afford. It replaced draft horses and manual labor across continents. And here's the most amazing part. A fleet of 7 Ferguson TE20s was used on the Commonwealth Trans-Antarctic Expedition from 1955 to 1958, led by Edmund Hillary. 4 were petrol versions and 3 were diesel models. Some had half-tracks with steerable front skis, and others had full caterpillar tracks. These little Fergies became the first tractors to reach the South Pole. Today, the TE20 is one of the most collectible classic tractors in the world. Number 6. The Ferguson TE20 and TE30. At number 6, we have the American cousins of the Little Grey Fergie, the Ferguson TE20 and TE30. While the TE20 was being built in Coventry, England, Harry Ferguson opened a tractor factory in Detroit, Michigan to serve the North American market. The TO in TE20 stood for Tractor Overseas. The TE20 was introduced in 1948, basically the American version of the TE20, but with a Continental Z129 4-cylinder gasoline engine instead of the standard engine used in England. It also used American-style electrical systems instead of the British Lucas system. The TE20 produced about 20 drawbar horsepower. In 1951, Ferguson upgraded to the TE30, which had a slightly larger Continental Z129 engine, producing more power and torque. These tractors became wildly popular on small American farms. Total production of the TE and TO tractors combined was around 1 million units between 1946 and 1956, which is staggering. The TE30 is particularly significant because it was the last pure Ferguson tractor before the merger with Massey-Harris in 1953. After the merger, the company continued both brands separately for a few years, but the TO line eventually evolved into the Ferguson 35 series. Today, restored TE20s and TE30s are highly collectible in North America, and they remain incredibly popular at vintage tractor shows. They're also surprisingly capable little workhorses that many small farms still use today. Number 5. The Massey Ferguson 35. Halfway through our list at number 5 is the tractor that officially launched the Massey Ferguson era, the MF35. This tractor has an interesting birth story. It was originally launched as the Ferguson 35, also called the FE35, on October 1, 1956 at the Grosvenor House Hotel in London. The first FE35 with serial number 1001 was produced on August 27 of that year. Here's where it gets historically important. In December 1957, when Massey-Harris Ferguson officially became Massey Ferguson, the FE35 was rebranded as the MF35. The color scheme also changed from gray and gold to the iconic red and gray that would define Massey Ferguson for decades. So the MF35 was literally the first tractor to wear the famous red and gray livery. In 1959, Massey Ferguson purchased Perkins engines and started fitting the MF35 with the legendary Perkins 3-cylinder diesel engine. Then on November 8, 1962, Massey Ferguson launched the MF35X with even more power and the new multi-power system, which let drivers shift gears without using the clutch. Over its 8-year production run, an absolutely massive 388,382 units were produced. Production ended in late 1964. But here's the wild part. TAFE in India bought a license to build MF35s in 1960 and continued manufacturing them until 2002. And in 2015, AGCO actually relaunched the MF35 in the East African market as the People's Tractor. This tractor literally never died. Number 4. The Massey Ferguson 65. Number 4 is the bigger brother of the MF35, the Massey Ferguson 65. Introduced in 1957, the MF65 was designed to be a more powerful, larger version of the popular MF35 for farmers who needed serious capability. The Mk1 Massey Ferguson 65 launched with a 50.5 horsepower 4-cylinder Perkins engine. A total of 21,378 Mk1 tractors were built before the Mk2 was introduced in 1960, which bumped power up to 56.8 horsepower. Then in 1962, Massey Ferguson made history by introducing the multi-power version of the MF65. This is huge. The MF65 was the first tractor to successfully launch the multi-power transmission system on a wide scale. Multi-power provided an overdrive gear for every manual gear selection without any break in transmission, eliminating wheel spin and dramatically improving productivity. It used a hydraulic clutch pack and provided the equivalent of 12 forward and 4 reverse gears. A total of 15,687 Mk2 multi-power MF65s were built. The MF65 was manufactured in both Coventry, England and Detroit, Michigan. At Nebraska tractor tests, it produced up to 50.98 horsepower at the PTO and 43.95 horsepower at the drawbar. The relatively small production numbers compared to the MF35 make the MF65 a sought-after collector tractor today, with well-restored examples regularly selling for serious money. The MF65 is the tractor that proved Massey Ferguson could compete in the higher horsepower market. Number 3. The Massey Ferguson 135. At number 3 is what many call the most beloved Massey Ferguson tractor of all time, the MF135. This tractor was introduced at the Smithfield Show in 1964 as the smallest member of the new Massey Ferguson 100 series, replacing the MF35. The MF135 was most commonly fitted with a 45 horsepower Perkins AD 3.152 3-cylinder diesel engine. There were also gasoline versions with either a Perkins petrol engine or a 37 horsepower Continental 4-cylinder gasoline engine. The MF135 produced about 45.5 engine horsepower and around 37 PTO horsepower. What made the MF135 legendary was its bulletproof reliability and simplicity. It came with options like live power, high-low transmission, the famous multi-power system, power steering and spin-out rims. The multi-power version offered 12 forward and 4 reverse gears. Production ran from 1964 to 1975 in the United States and continued in England until 1979. In the final year of U.S. production, the selling price was $4,385. The MF135 became absolutely massive in agricultural colleges across Britain. Generations of students learned to drive on these tractors. Today, the MF135 remains one of the most common vintage tractors still in working use around the world. You can find them on dairy farms across Ireland, in vineyards across France, on small farms across Africa, and absolutely everywhere in India and Pakistan. Variants of the MF135 were still being built in India, Pakistan, and Turkey as of 2014. This tractor truly defined an era of accessible, dependable farming. Number 2. The Massey Ferguson 1100 and 1130. Number 2 takes us into big tractor territory. The Massey Ferguson 1100 and 1130 series. These tractors are absolutely massive, and they represented Massey Ferguson's first in-house built big tractors after the Massey-Harris to Massey Ferguson transformation. Here's some background context. After 1953, Massey Ferguson didn't have any big tractors in their lineup. By 1958, they had resorted to badge engineering, buying repainted Minneapolis Moline tractors and calling them the MF95. That obviously wasn't sustainable, so Massey Ferguson developed the 1100 series as their first true large in-house tractor. The MF1100 debuted in 1964 with a 94 horsepower, 354 cubic inch Perkins, 6-cylinder direct-injected diesel engine. It was a big tractor weighing 11,000 pounds. Later that same year, Massey Ferguson introduced the MF1130, which was essentially a turbocharged version of the same tractor, producing 120 PTO horsepower at the 1966 Nebraska tractor test. The 1100 series came as standard row crop versions or as westerns, which had non-adjustable width front axles, wider tires, chaff guards, and rounded fenders for the wide-open prairie country. Massey Ferguson offered an optional cab with air conditioning and heat, and these tractors came standard with power steering and power brakes. The 1100 series was hugely popular in the United Kingdom and remains one of the most desirable classic Massey Fergusons ever built. Number 1. The Massey Ferguson 1150 V8. And now for our number 1, the most outrageous, most legendary, most talked about classic Massey Ferguson ever built, the Massey Ferguson 1150 V8. In 1970, Massey Ferguson did something nobody had ever done before. They shoved a V8 engine into a row crop tractor. The MF1150 used a 540 cubic inch Perkins AV8 510 V8 diesel engine, producing 146 horsepower. At the September 1970 Nebraska tractor test, the 1150 cranked out 135.6 horsepower at the PTO, which knocked International Harvester's factory hot rod off the top spot by a full 4.5 horsepower. Think about what this means. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, V8s sounded like the future of tractor engines. They were the cool, exciting choice. After the MF1150 launched, Oliver introduced their 2255 V8, and International Harvester followed with their 68 series V8s. Massey Ferguson started a horsepower war. Production ran from 1970 to 1972, with the MF1155 following from 1973 to 1978, with a 510 cubic inch V8 producing even more power. These tractors weighed between 13,370 and 13,590 pounds, with a length of 171 inches. Now here's the truth that history has taught us. V8 engines aren't actually great for farm tractors because they make their power higher in the RPM range than farmers need for field work. The MF1150 had issues with snapping crankshafts, and the final drives were a bit light for the application, but none of that mattered for collectors. Today, the MF1150 V8 is one of the most sought-after classic Massey Fergusons ever built. Restored examples are showstoppers at every farm machinery show. The sound of that big Perkins V8 is unforgettable. The 1150 is the muscle car of the tractor world, and it represents the absolute peak of classic Massey Ferguson engineering ambition. So that's it for today. If you like this video, then please hit the like and subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching.